Okay, employability is about the skills that you have, how you build that, how you bring your skills to the to help any organization, be it business, private, whatever it is. So it's everybody coming together with different types of skills to achieve one common goal. So you must have particular skills, and that's anywhere in the world. So yeah, Ghana, Malaysia, wherever it is, you must have some skills that you bring to your organization. Given the size of our population, we don't have enough jobs. My first thing, given the size of the population, we don't have enough jobs, and when that gets, it gets even more concerning when you look at, are we deliberately marching towards what the population will look like in a couple of years' time? So we're talking about, I think it's 2050 where Nigeria becomes the fourth most populous country. What does that mean for us? You're going to have a lot of youth, a lot of energy, people that they understand trends internationally. Are we going to be able to offer them what they need to be in Nigeria? And then think about it, ultimately everybody becomes a global citizen as well. And if you're a global citizen, what is the life of somebody living in the developed world versus you living in Nigeria? And then you have to make choices as to where do you stay. And I think, you know, there's also a big part, and this is me personally, I think technology has a huge part to play in all of this. Meaning that as the world evolves, you know, technology is the next industrial sort of like revolution. So in the past we've had sort of like big factories and stuff. Technology is what's coming next. As that evolution starts, people also have the opportunity of using technology to improve their skills or to get to where they need to be. So yes, we don't have enough jobs, and I think businesses also need to adopt technology more. So it's almost like a vicious cycle. Businesses need to adopt technology to be in where the rest of the world is. People also need to learn the right skill sets to move into this new world. So, yeah. Right. My personal view is that Nigerians are not different from anywhere else in the world. So if you're looking for people that want quick money, go to anywhere in the world and say, look, I'm offering you quick bucks, and nobody will reject it. So Nigerians are just like everybody else in the world. But I think where the difference begins to come is in terms of culture, work culture, our attitude to work, even from university to when you get into a workplace, what's the culture? So if you went to like a UK or the US, if you're in the office, you understand that that time is being paid for. So how you work during that time, you give it the 100%. So productivity during that period is high. Whereas in Nigeria, and I think there's people can be to a bit more lax around the fact that the time is paid for and then do a lot of things within the same time. Maybe you would find the 20% that are not necessary, but 80% people tend to go out of necessity rather than just going abroad to hire people. But for us as a people, the onus is on us to build the skills so that businesses don't have to go out. So it depends on different companies and their strategies. So there's nothing wrong in you hiring a foreigner who's experienced in a particular field, comes into Nigeria, does the job well and well remunerated. But then what's important is that you're also working on skills and knowledge transfer, so that one person comes in and you have many Nigerians also learning the same skills. And so you can replicate what you've brought in. So I think when it gets dangerous is when we just bring somebody in and then there's no transfer of skills, there is no multiplication of, and even as a business, I don't think it's the risks are too high. That means you're dependent on one man to sort of like continue to give your particular services. How do you replicate that skill set? Will it backfire? It will backfire if all you do is just rely on that one person. It won't backfire if you sort of like look at it as how can I develop my local staff as well. I would say they had when you look at the state of our education sort of like sector, 40 years ago, I mean, it's like almost as though almost every year you go, last year was better, 2 years was better, 5 years was better. I thought I had it bad in my secondary school, but you go now, and everybody keeps talking about the glory days, it used to be better and stuff. So yes, in terms of the education, yes, I think people got better education. In terms of finding jobs, I think it probably was less competitive because the population of Nigeria 40 years ago, I don't even know what it was, but maybe we're in the 100 million kind of. So, and then the number of people that were looking for jobs were probably less. Compared to now, where you have a lot more Nigerians, I think over 60% of Nigerians are young and everybody's looking for jobs. So there's a lot more competition. And then the skill sets that you get from, shall I say, the educational system, it's also a bit, it's not as good as it was 40 years ago. So there is that a bit of both sort of like playing negatively to the young Nigerians these days. I'm usually this is actually one area that I don't believe in certificates. Yes, you can argue that I also went to university, did my accounting, but I haven't seen it all and at the very end. And I think, look, my advice is get a badge. Get the certificates just for sake of opening the door. What certificates do is to open the doors for you to say, do you know what, I'm looking for a chartered accountant. Okay, well, yes, I am chartered. Okay, now let's talk. What's important is your skills. It literally means that I can put 2 university graduates together, or even a university graduate and then a master's degree holder, and I would choose the university graduate over the master's degree holder because of the services that they're or the skills that they're bringing on board. And I think with technology, people need to begin to rethink their minds. So I was talking to a young guy yesterday who spoke about how he went through university, and what's made the biggest difference in his life is the learnings he's learned, he's gotten online. So he did a lot of online courses that exposed his mind. And the job he's able to do now, it wasn't taught in class. It was based on the learnings he got from online courses. Now, he told me his story, and he told me his friend's story, who just finished a nano degree in machine learning. And this guy's just gotten a job in machine learning. These are new skills. So the question is, what are people chasing after? The certificate or the skills? Because and maybe this is just me, for me to recruit anybody, I pay less attention to the certificate, but more around, can you do the job well? Can you do the skill? That is, ultimately, that's what matters. So people should chase getting knowledge and skills rather than just a certificate. If you chase certificate and you think that's what would, certificates wouldn't do the job for you, you still have to do the job. So that's my answer will be, look, chase knowledge. How you chase it. Some people, we have some of our best engineers here didn't finish university. You'd be shocked. People we always talk about Bill Gates dropping out, Steve Jobs dropping out, but I'm saying right now in Nigeria, in Conga, we have top engineers that didn't finish university. So if you were an organization that all you were looking for was university degree and stuff, you'll have cut out this fantastic talent from your workforce. So people should look more at skills rather than just the certificates. That's my own advice. Personally, I think it's unfair. It's unfair to sort of like use age to sort of like screen staff. But even though I know that for particular roles, it makes sense if the person is younger, can probably relate to your customer base in a different way. I think there are roles that require some age sort of like screening. But then the question is that, what's the company looking for? Are you looking for someone who will, so sometimes people believe if you're younger, your mind is fresh, you look at things from a totally different perspective. So I always, even though you are probably in the 28, 29, didn't make the cutoff, there would always be jobs that are looking for people, fresh mindsets, people that will come in and sort of like relook at how we do things. But it's also easy for you as a graduate at 28 to feel like the whole world is over. But we have people that graduated at 28 and still made it. So you can either go into this pity cycle where you're self-pitying yourself, or I'm past it, or pick yourself up, demonstrate skills and values that companies are looking for. In time, over time, somebody will pick you up and realize that actually this person is what I want. And that's what I was saying earlier on about value and skills, chasing knowledge. The guys that I was just mentioning about some fantastic engineers, and maybe this is just a Conga peculiar situation, but I know that a lot of people are beginning to reach out and say, look, help with recruitment. How do I go about getting these guys on board? And the answer is usually look beyond the certificate, look at the skills. And over time, many organizations would also begin to realize that I need to focus more on the skills rather than just the age or certificates. And it's unfair for the older guys, but it's not the end of the world. People should not get into this pity party. My perception is, if you, and I'll look at it by sector, and I don't want to make too many assumptions, but I think in the private sector, where people are chasing creating value, you care less about having to know the person that you recruit. You're just looking for someone that can add value. Maybe it's one of the areas that we still need to work on in the public sector, in terms of being open and then letting the best come through our government systems or our public services, so that we can actually get more out of the public services. And that's just my perception. But I think people should stop. And I see this, I get this as well, that, I need to know somebody to get this job, or can you help me get a job in Conga? I'm like, well, just apply. Apply, go through the process, and if you're successful, you're successful. We have to get as a nation, we have to get out of this mindset of preference for someone that I know, and then get into this merit kind of, should I say meritocracy, where we're just looking at who's the best for the job rather than who do you know, or who are you connected with. But so I think people should just get out of that. Like if you go around Conga, the only time you find someone, it's through referrals. Okay, I know this good person. Okay, well, apply and go through the same test process. Nothing apart from referral. The person, even if you refer, still has to go through your proper process. So you can't now get into this mindset of, I'm not even going to give myself a chance. You have to be in it to win it, is what they say about lottery. So apply first and hope. And in the early days of my career, I can't imagine the amount of, sorry, we'll keep your CV in our database, we'll come back to you. I got tons. It got to a point where I would even apply, and I'm expecting to tell me, and then I got some surprises. Oh, come on, let's talk. And then you get some interviews again. Even an interview, you will still get some. It's a process, and people just need to be prepared and mentally strong to go through that. And once you're with your first foot in, it's then easy to sort of build on your experience and stuff. But not to apply, it's just it's like not being in it at all. Having wealth, or having wealth is more of having access. It's more of having access to advanced information, and there is definitely that benefit. But then, in this new age of the internet, you have no business saying you don't have information. So everything comes back down to information these days. Information is what we're trading, knowing where this product is it cheap enough for me to get. So it comes back down to information, but you can sort of like, I don't think you can get 100% at par with someone who has tremendous amount of wealth, because they would see more opportunities, they would see more things, and their minds are also exposed. If you travel around the world, you're just generally more exposed, and you know more. So, but then you can sort of ramp yourself up. You can't say, well, it means this is the end for me, but you can ramp yourself up close enough by developing yourself, internet, read books, read news, or read around topics that you're interested in. Build yourself up to a point where you get to a point where there is literally no difference between yourself and someone who's gone elsewhere, apart from maybe having cash in the bank to be able to start off a business. But in terms of knowing how to do the business, or knowing how to operate in a particular area, build yourself up first before you now say, well, I don't have the same level of benefits. But I think it's important that we all, with technology, ramp up fast, and technology allows us to bridge that gap a little bit more. So you can take courses anywhere in the world now online. It doesn't have to be, you don't have to travel. So for me, wealth just gives you access, and that access, yes, you can't deny it. There's value in it, but it doesn't mean that everybody else is totally out of it. I think even as a matter of fact, wealth can, if not well managed, can end up in a worse place than someone who doesn't have the wealth. So yeah. We don't have a choice. We have to let technology take its own path. Otherwise, we're left behind to the rest, compared to the rest of the world, and then we're not competitive in a global space. So we have to allow technology to run as fast as possible. As a matter of fact, yes, I work for Congress, so probably people would think I'm a bit more biased towards technology, but I'm more concerned about the implications of us not allowing technology move ahead. We're doing agriculture, and if I start giving out cutlasses and hoes, compared to a country that is giving out tractors, there's a huge, or I won't even say tractors, self-propelled tractors that just move around. So it means that we will never be able to compete. So we need to allow technology to take its part so that Nigeria remains competitive. Now, what we all miss is that technology is creating an enormous amount of jobs as well. It's just that the job types are changing, and it's for us to sort of like look ahead and say to ourselves, by 2050, what kind of jobs will be out there? How should we be training our people now? If we had done this back in the 90s, by now we'll be prepared for what's about to eat us to a certain extent, maybe not 100%, because technology sort of grows exponentially, but by now we'll be prepared to a large extent. Our engineering teams, software and things like that, doctors and stuff will be better prepared for it. So it's for us to sort of understand that it's gonna happen and ride on that wave. So new jobs, you talk about typists going out of fashion, but you're now having data scientists coming up. You're now having software engineers coming up. You're having robotics engineers, people that automate things coming up. Those jobs are not coming up in Nigeria. Some software related are coming up, but a lot of technology-backed jobs, even research, biotechnology, it's coming up. And the amount of work that still needs to be done is incredible. And we're not preparing ourselves for that. So I would say we have to allow technology to take its course. It's important for us to plan towards the new type of jobs, I won't even say just jobs, the new types of industries that will come off as a result of technology. It can employ a whole country if we decide to focus on, even if just one part of it. It can really employ a lot. We go really deep in, if it's biotechnology, if it's engineering, whatever it's that we want to do. If we go deep and hard enough, I think we'll be in a good place. Our population going to the fourth in the world by 2050 is the forecast. Means that new types of challenges will come up. How do you feed people? We can't feed that kind of population with cutlasses and hoes. We can't. Healthcare. We can't do it the way we're doing it today. We need more hospitals. We need smarter hospitals. One doctor attends to many more patients. I think, I can't remember the number of on the top of my head now, but in the whole world, there's a shortage between the number of doctors and the number of patients or the population. So to sort of like bridge that gap, you need technology, and that's how we should be looking at it. Water. If the world continues to grow at this pace, how much water do we need? Where do we get it from? And all of these things are challenges for the future that we need to start working towards now. And it's only technology that will help us bridge the gap between the two. Even clothing, where are we going to get it from? Are we going to use what do you call it? Grass, or I don't know. Where would we get the resources to feed even our cattle? Or are we going to continue to eat meat? I know Nigeria, we like eating meat and stuff like that, but how? Is it by people sort of like pushing them, walking around the whole of the country that will continue to feed ourselves in terms of protein, or we're going to find something else or other ways to do it? So we can't sit on our laurels, or the problem is already sort of like it's there, but we're just not paying attention. But then if we paid attention, we'll create a lot of jobs to fix it, and we'll be in a good place. Right, so my advice first is identify your passion. What do you have passion for? So like, yes, you have a certificate, but what do you have passion for? Because when you're in that zone, when you're doing something that you have passion for, you tend to excel a lot more. So I would say first thing is just identify who you are and what your passion is, and chase after that. Where can I get the best experience in my area of passion or specialty that I've chosen? And then who best can help me in terms of mentorship? Look at people that have gone ahead. There's no point paying the same price, their mistakes, and then going through the same thing. So look at people who have gone ahead. How have they done it? Try and apply some of those things to you. And you have to build yourself, as far as I'm concerned, a career plan. So you meet people, young graduates, that you ask them, hey, what would you, I'm looking for a job in what? Anything. Anything is nothing. Anything means nothing. And I just go, okay, fine. Are you sure anything? Say, yes, anything. Okay, well, I don't have anything, right? I have something. So give me something that you're looking for. Give me a particular area. So people need to very quickly decide on what you want to do. And to be fair to some of these guys as well, I think our system doesn't help, because there are limited spaces in universities, people study courses that are not their preferred courses, and then it makes them begin to just go, well, actually, I did this course, but it's not what I like. But I always argue that, look, whilst you're in university, or even just immediately after university, you can always retrain yourself. Go online, pick up courses. There are nano degrees that you can complete online these days. Pick up these things, brush yourself up, bring yourself up to a point where an employer will see you and think, this person is coming to add value to me. Everybody's looking for someone to add value. So my advice is that, look, just make sure that you have a career plan, you have a goal. You don't just tell people anything. I'm just looking for a job. And yes, and you can also be clear that, look, I can take a stop-gap job in anything, but this is what I want. So you should never be in a place where you can't articulate what you want. Because if you don't know what you want, then how can I help you? How can anybody help you? So my advice is, first of all, understand what you want, and that even helps you in making decisions along the way in your career. This job actually works for me, or keep looking at the kind of jobs you want. You pick up the job description. What are the skills required? Okay, well, how do I gain these skills? So you must always have this learning spirit as well. Keep looking for, how can I improve myself? What can I do different? And things like that. So my advice, like I said, understand what you want. It just guides you through the whole process of life or career.